the Detroit Pistons lose a game to the Portland Trailblazers where the Trailblazers basically have no one on the roster active within this game. However, depending how you want to look at this game, you can look at it from a negative perspective or you can have a positive perspective. We'll look at both on today's episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I'm your host, Kuka Hill. You can find me over on Twitter at Kuka Hill. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. And if you have not already, or if you're one of the 50% of people who watch on YouTube and haven't hit the subscribe button already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button. It's the best way to support the podcast. We're on our road to 2,000 subscribers, and we're continuing to show Locked On that we are the best and fastest growing fan base at the Locked On Network. So again, best way to support the podcast, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. I'd really appreciate it. Best way to support the podcast. But the Pistons had a tough loss to the Portland Trailblazers last night by a score of 119 to 115. Like I mentioned in the cold open, the Portland Trailblazers basically had nobody, no like NBA rotation players active in this game. They were out like 9 players on their team. You had a starting lineup, and let me know how many of these guys you guys can actually say you know. Brandon Williams, CJ Ellaby, Drew Eubanks, Trendon Watford, and Justice Winslow. I'm going to go ahead and take a guess that you guys probably would only have known one of these players before this game, and that's Justice Winslow. And they had a bunch of guys off the bench too. A lot of young guys, a lot of dudes getting their chance to play in the NBA. Not a great roster thrown out there to play last night. But they were able to get a win out, and that probably doesn't say great things about the Pistons, specifically the way it happened. For the majority of the first half, the Detroit Pistons showed little to no energy in urgency or flat out care for the game that was happening out there. They found themselves down by 20 points at one point to this team, and now again, this is a team that was without Damian Lillard, that no longer has CJ McCollum, that sat Josh Hart, literally. Yusuf Nurkic not playing. Literally all the rotational players basically were out this game. And the Pistons found themselves down by 20 at a certain point in this game. And you can talk about turnovers. You can talk about fouls. You can talk about giving free throws, giving, maybe not playing the best defense, etc. But it really just boiled down to just straight up effort. The Pistons were coming off a long road trip. I don't know if that was why they didn't show much effort in this first half. But that was the story of the game. The Portland Trailblazers had a bunch of guys coming onto the floor that were playing like this was their first and only NBA game. And that makes sense. They had a bunch of guys, like I said, that were not NBA players that probably won't be in the NBA next year. So it makes sense that they're going to step out on the court and play like it's their last NBA game, because it very well could be for some of these guys. Like at any point, it could be the last game of their careers. And the Pistons coming off a long road trip, just didn't have the energy to start out the gate. They ended up picking it up in the second half, but the energy that came out in the first half just is unacceptable at any point, whether you're tanking. I don't care if you want lottery odds. I don't care if you want to finish with the first overall pick. I don't care where you stand in the fan base with how you want the rest of the season to go. Are you rooting for wins? Are you rooting for young guys to carry the wins? Are you rooting for losses? I don't care where you stand with all that. When a team comes out and shows the lack of effort that the Pistons showed last night against the Trailblazers, it's unacceptable on every front. You want to lose these games being competitive. You want to lose these games showing that you care out there and giving it maximum effort. And the Pistons just didn't do that for the first half of last night's game. And really, even in the second half, when they cut the lead down, were able to take the lead at a certain point. Even in the second half, it was on and off energy. The Pistons were more talented than this team. Obviously, they have NBA players on their squad. The Trailblazers basically didn't. So they were able to turn it on and off for stretches and cut the lead down. But just never really had consistent effort besides a lineup in the early fourth quarter that consisted of Saben Lee, Killian Hayes, Luka Garza, JaMarco Pickett, and Isaiah Livers. That stretch really gave it all. They're all for their entire stretch and really cut the lead down. I think their lineup was the lineup that ended up taking the lead against the Trailblazers. So that was the only stretch where you can really say that all 5 players on the court were giving it maximum effort. But yeah, that's definitely not the way you want to see it go down at any point, no matter where you're at with the how you want the rest of the season to go. So I'm sure Dwayne Casey isn't going to be happy about that. Just unacceptable effort by the Detroit Pistons. I don't care where you're at. It's just not good. When you find yourself down 52 to what? What is this? 52 to 67 to the Portland Trailblazers without their entire roster. That's not good. When you find yourself down by 23 points to them, that's not good. When you have 17 turnovers compared to their 8 turnovers, that's not good. So, not a great game for the Pistons yesterday. It was a fun game to watch in the second half because they did try to come back within this game and they gave it their all for certain stretches. So that made it fun the second half, especially because of the guys that were doing it. Saban Lee had a really good stretch. Killian Hayes, after going scoreless in the first half, scored 12 points in the second half and played really well in the second half. So it was nice to see both of those guys. And also Luka Garza was able to get minutes in this game because Kelly Olynyk was out. And he also showed a lot of effort, which you can always bank on with Luka Garza. Luka Garza is going to give it his all nonstop. Anytime he's on the floor, he's going to give it his all. So it was fun to see those guys along with DeMarco Pickett hit a couple threes. Isaiah Livers continue to hit a couple threes, even though I believe he was pretty off tonight. So it was fun at points, but for the majority of the time, not a good game, and definitely not a game that Dwayne Casey's going to be happy about from an effort perspective. But if you are just completely are for the tank and you're only looking at lottery odds for the rest of the season, and you don't care about wins and losses or wins really, and you just will take the loss however it comes, then you're probably walking away from this game pretty happy. The Pistons ended up only losing by 4. You got a little bit of a fun second half, and they boost their lottery odds. So, I mean, I guess that's probably the best part about this point of the season is that, you can be happy with either result, really. Like, if you get a win from the young guys and they push and they make a comeback like they did tonight and they actually secure the win, then you can be happy that the young guys pulled it off, made a really good comeback, and were able to win the game behind their young guys. Now, if they lose like they did tonight and aren't able to pull the comeback off, then you can be happy that their lottery odds are going up. So I guess that's the best part about this point in the season in the NBA for the Detroit Pistons, is that really you can find ways to be happy no matter their outcome of the game at this point in the season, as long as like the young guys are the reason why either or is happening. So when we come back, we'll talk about more in-depth things with this game. Something I really want to talk about with Cade Cunningham. I feel like one of his weaknesses was really exploited by this team in the Portland Trailblazers, and why it was exploited by the Portland Trailblazers, why it was so just on display for everybody, and what it is that he needs to work on this offseason. We'll talk about that when we come back. But first, I have to tell you guys about a couple of our sponsors. Let me tell you guys a little bit about BetOnline.net. It's that time of year again, as college basketball's tournament is finally upon us. From all the latest odds, contests, and player props, BetOnline.net is the number one source for all your sports betting needs. BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And if you just head over to the BetOnline.net website right now, you're looking at the games for March 22nd, Tuesday, when you guys are listening to this. You got a game against the Golden State Warriors and Orlando Magic. You got the over-under and total points in this game at 216. I'm going to go ahead and take the under on that. You don't got Steph Curry playing in this game. Orlando Magic aren't very good. You're dealing with the Golden State Warriors, who are going to be inconsistent with Steph Curry out. So you guys are asking me, I'd go ahead over there and I'd hit the under on this one. It's minus 110. Go over there. I think that's a pretty safe one to take. But it's not just basketball. And BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games. Trust me, I know all about the Vegas casino games. I'm absolutely addicted to blackjack. Don't get me over there. Head to the website today and use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action today. Again, head to the website today, betonline.net, or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action today. BetOnline, where the game starts. Then let me tell you guys about another one of our sponsors, Athletic Greens. Now, I've been taking Athletic Greens for a few weeks now, and I absolutely love it. It doesn't taste like it's super healthy. It has kind of a mild and tropical taste to it that I actually look forward to having each morning. You guys are probably asking, well, cool, what the hell is Athletic Greens? What is this stuff? Well, with one delicious scoop of Athletic Greens, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging, and all of those things in life. It's lifestyle friendly too, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free. It contains less than 1 gram of sugar, no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anythings, while still tasting good. It supports better sleep quality and recovery, supports mental clarity and alertness. It's the one thing and with the best things. Athletic Greens uses the best of the best products based on the latest sciences, with constant product iterations and third-party testing. It costs you less than $3 a day. You're investing in your health and it's cheaper than your cold brew habit. It's cheaper than getting all the different supplements yourself. You're investing in all-in-one nutritional insurance. Athletic Greens has over 7,000 five-star reviews, recommended by professional athletes, and trusted by leading health experts such as Tim Ferriss and Michael Gervais. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition, especially heading into the flu and cold season. It's just one scoop into a cup of water every single day. That's it. No need for a million different pills or supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NBA network. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/NBA network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. That's athleticgreens.com/NBA network. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to our YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button. It's the best way to support the podcast. We are on our road to 2,000 subscribers, and we are continuing to show Locked On to be the fastest and best growing fan base at the Locked On Network. So again, if you have not already, head to our YouTube channel, Locked On Pistons. Hit the subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Again, on the road to 2,000 subscribers, I'd really like to hit there. Let's say maybe by the end of the week. I think we're like 50 subscribers away. We really could be able to hit that, or should be able to hit that, I should say, by the end of the week. So let's go ahead and hit that goal. But yeah, in this game, we already talked about the effort. Pistons in totality, from the entire team, from top to bottom, nobody showed consistent effort. It was just inconsistency. Sometimes we wanted to play, sometimes you didn't. Sometimes you wanted to go full speed, sometimes you didn't. So that was just from top to bottom. But Cade Cunningham is the star of this team. Cade Cunningham is the guy that everyone's coming in to watch play. Cade Cunningham is the franchise player. He's the face of the franchise. He's the guy that everyone cares about, basically. And in this game, he did finish with 25 points, 7 assists, 4 steals, and 3 rebounds on 58% shooting from the field. He was able to draw 5 fouls or 5 free throws in this game, which, by the way, I want you to take a guess at how many, if you guys aren't looking at the box score, go ahead and play a game real quick. Pause the podcast if you have to. Take a guess at how many free throws you think were attempted in this game in totality. I'll give you guys a guess. It was the most free throws attempted in a single game all season across the NBA, not just Pistons, all season by any team. 90 free throws were attempted. So I'd hope that he'd get 5. But just to give you guys an idea before we talk about what it is that he's struggling with that they kind of exposed, Watford, more free throws than Cade. Eubanks, more free throws than Cade. Ellaby, more free throws than Cade. Brandon Williams, more free throws than Cade. I mean, Brandon Williams doesn't even have if you go to NBA.com, he doesn't even have a picture. It's just the NBA icon. But anyways, Greg Brown, more free throw attempts. Sadiq Bey, more free throw attempts. Luka Garza, more free throw attempts. Not Killian. Cade really struggled with something tonight that we're going to get into right now. But the free throw disparity for him is just it's getting really I've been on it all season, guys. You guys know I have. It's really getting ridiculous, especially in a game like this, which I guess this will be a perfect way to transition to it. While Cade was able to do all that, he had 9 turnovers. And part of that was because he was playing against a team that had a lot of young guys, a lot of guys who are barely in the NBA. And when you play against guys like that, and if you played pickup basketball, if you played high school basketball, you'll know. If you played college basketball, you know what I'm talking about. When you play against guys who aren't as talented as you, aren't as skilled as guys on the floor, but they're athletic, they're going to play very physical and they're going to, masquerade that to sound like or to look like they're playing hard. When really they're just being super physical because they can't really do anything else. And that's what Portland was doing tonight. They were really handsy, swiping down the ball a lot, using their hands on defense, and that will lead to a lot of fouls, which they had 26 fouls in this game. Now, somehow the Detroit Pistons had more fouls than them. They had 34, but either way, Portland was very handsy and was very physical throughout the night. So that would lead to the Pistons having 41 free throw attempts. That's a good thing. However, it also led to Cade Cunningham having 9 turnovers, by far the most on the Pistons. I believe by far the most in the game. The Pistons had 17 turnovers. 9 of them was from Cade. And it was really exposed because of the reason I just gave you guys. It's going to lead to a lot of fouls when you play with your hands on defense. But if you're going against a guy who is let me not say very, but has a loose handle and is not as strong when you get into traffic going to the rim or trying to drive to the rim, you're going to get a lot of knockouts. You may foul a lot too, but you're also going to get a lot of knockouts. And the Trailblazers were able to get that because Cade, that is his weakness right now. We all love Cade. This is not me like trying to destroy Cade. We're allowed to criticize Cade or at least point out things that he needs to get better at. Cade, I've said it for a few months now. I've said it since the beginning of the season. His number one thing that he has to work on is overall strength and conditioning. I think that will lead to him not being able or him being able to secure the ball and not having it knocked away from him so easily. Because that's what was happening tonight. Now, late, he did have a few passes where he just like threw it to the defense, and that just can't happen. But majority of his turnovers were just guys in the Trailblazers just knocking the ball out of his hands, ripping it away from him on the way to the basket, poking it loose while he's driving to the basket. And that's been somewhat of an issue for him all season. So while Cade is great, we all love Cade. He's going to be the face of the franchise if he's not already. He's going to be a superstar. He still has areas of his game that he has to grow and he has to continue to get better at. And I think that area is by far number one on his list of needs or list of things to improve on. I think if he just works on strength and conditioning, that will lead to it. Because I feel like it's just him not playing very strong with the ball or just not being very strong with the ball at this point in his career. He's 6'7", 6'6", 6'7". He's stronger than he looks, but he is still a little slender and a little skinnier than you probably would like. He's going to fill into his frame. He's only like, 19, 20 years old. He's still a kid. He's going to grow into his body, especially with NBA strength and conditioning. He's probably going to get over. I think he'll probably be ending up around like 225, 230 when he's in his prime. That's going to be my assumption for him. But he has a ways to go until he gets there. I just think that right there will really help. He also needs to tighten up his handle, probably, work on his ball handling. But I really do believe that just working on getting stronger will help him on drives to the basket. Because when he gets knocked on his way to the basket, now you could argue that a lot of these are foul calls, and I will. A lot of them are foul calls, but they're not calling them. So now you have to fight through it. And when he does get bumped and he does get pushed or he does get slapped down at, whether it's hitting his arm or whatever, you're not getting the calls. You have to fight through it. He gets knocked off his balance. He's not. He too often he gets like, it bothers him a little too much. Like a player like LeBron. Now, obviously that's a huge, like obvious extreme example, but just throwing it out there, like if you just watch LeBron, just like any strong driver in the NBA, like DeMar DeRozan is a good one. Just like anyone who's just a stronger driver to the rim right now, when they get bumped, they don't just lose the ball. They're able to fight through the contact, and usually that's what leads to them getting foul calls. When Cade right now, he gets fouled, but he kind of like when he gets fouled, he kind of like bumps back, and refs aren't going to call that. Now, if you fight through the contact, you kind of just shrug it off. I feel like then they tend more to give you the foul calls, like to those guys. When you fight through it, you kind of just push through it. But wherever it is right now, Cade's not getting the calls, and that he needs to get better at or make his handle tighter and just get stronger. I think those two things are his biggest needs, and they were on huge display tonight against the Trailblazers because, like I said, they were very handsy. They were trying to play physical because they're just not as talented as Cade. So they got super physical with them. They kept swiping down at every drive. They were very handsy in the passing lanes in the help defense. So he ended the game with 9 turnovers, and that's not very good at all. That's awful. We all love Cade. Again, let me just make sure I say that Cade's going to be great. He's going to be a superstar. But 9 turnovers is unacceptable from your lead ball handler, especially some of the careless ones he had too. We're talking about the ones when he gets stripped or everything, but late in the game, he had a few that he just threw away to the defense. Just bad passes, lackadaisical passes. So that's the major area for Cade Cunningham this offseason, I feel like, for him. He has to get better at not turning the ball over and just getting stronger on the way to the rim so he can, absorb this contact and not turn the ball over. And when he does get fouled, since the refs are just going to screw him over and not call it, he can fight through it. So that's it. Ashton, if you're listening to this, I know his trainer does listen to this sometimes. If you listen to this, man, my piece of advice, me not knowing anything about training, not being any kind of expert, but, my 2 cents, my ignorant 2 cents is just, work on that strength and conditioning and get that tight ball handler. You feel me? And if you do work on that, I'd appreciate a shout out. You feel me? Just playing, man. But when we come back, we had some nice things that happened within this game. Killian Hayes played better in the second half. Saban Lee showed some stuff in the second half. Luka Garza played decent in the second half. We'll try to focus on some of those things when we come back from the break. But first, let me tell you guys about another one of our sponsors, Rock Auto. With the ever-increasing numbers of makes and models, it's now impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts you need. Why endure often pointless or seemingly intimidating questioning like, is your Odyssey an LX? And wait while the person behind the counter orders the parts on their computer, choosing the only brand their warehouse happens to carry. You have computers with access to rockauto.com at home or in your pocket on your phone. Save time and money when you're using Rock Auto. Why choose to spend 30%, 50%, even 100% more for the same parts from a chain store or car dealership. For example, a Honda Odyssey fuel pump is $353 from a chain store. At Rock Auto, $216. Rock Auto is a family business serving do-it-yourselves for over 20 years. Rock Auto prices are reliably low for every single customer. They have everything you could possibly need, from brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, and even a new carpet. Go explore their easy-to-use website today to find the solution to your auto part needs. Go to rockauto.com and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Right, locked on in their How Did You Hear About Us box so they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need. rockauto.com. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free available on all your podcast platforms. And if you have not already, head to our YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Obviously, hit that subscribe button. It's the best way to support the podcast on the road to 2,000 subscribers, continuing to show Locked On the way the fastest and best growing fan base at the Locked On Network. So again, I'd really appreciate if you head to the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys. But while the Pistons did not show tremendous effort in this game, and Cade had 25 points, shot decent from the field, but had that major glaring spot with the turnovers, there still were some positives that you can try to pull from this game and some things that just made this game a little bit more fun. So one of those things I really wanted to focus on, and I'm going to continue to give him credit for this over and over because I really just love this development in this season, and it's the fact that Saddiq Bey attempted 8 free throws in this game. Now, he only shot 6 of 17 from the floor. He didn't shoot very well. 5 of 13 from deep, that's 38%. That's fine. That's decent, especially on those and that type of volume. But he didn't shoot that very well from the floor. However, the fact that he's getting to the free throw line consistently for like the last 50-so games. How long has it been now? 40, 50-some games now? He's been consistently getting to the free throw line 4 or 5 times a game. I believe he's at 4.6 attempts or 4.6 attempts a game since the first 26 games of the season. That's a development that is going to really help him in his career and really allow him to, if this is really who he's going to be, this is really going to help him be a scorer in this NBA, like a legitimate scorer. The fact that he's able to get to the free throw line. I've told you guys this multiple times on the podcast. If you watch the NBA, every great scorer, you have to be able to draw free throws. You have to be able to get to the free throw line. It's the best way to be efficient. You have to be able to make the game easier on yourself. You have to be able to draw fouls. You cannot be a great scorer in this NBA if you're not able to draw fouls. A player that I used to really like watching, but I had to come to the terms that, okay, he's just really limited because he can't draw free throws. He's not very strong to the rim. He doesn't draw free throws. D'Angelo Russell. D'Angelo Russell is very talented. He can shoot, a great passer. I do like D'Lo, but D'Lo just doesn't draw fouls. He doesn't get to the rim consistently, and really, just the biggest part is that he doesn't draw fouls. If you're able to draw free throws, it makes your life so much easier in the NBA. It allows you to be a really good scorer, and Saddiq's done a great job of that thus far. So that's a development. Each time he continues to walk into or ends a game with 5+ free throw attempts, I'm going to come on this podcast. I'm going to say something because this was not happening last year. It wasn't happening at the beginning of this season. This is something he's changed in his game by being physical, getting in the rack, and playing physical around the rim, which he deserves a ton of credit for. Because that's not just a change that you should be able. You don't see a lot of guys that's able to make that kind of change midway through a season and then just have it be that way the rest of the year. Now, you may have some ups, downs. Saddiq has consistently changed his game from the first 26 games to be more physical around the rim, and it's leading to just tremendous success for him. So I really want to give Saddiq credit for that. I'm going to continue to do that every chance I get. Saben Lee, I think he played decent tonight. Still, like he had 9 points, 3 of 7 shooting. He was part of the lineup, like I mentioned earlier, that was bringing a ton of effort in this game. So that was nice to see from him. You still kind of see why he's just not ready for the NBA. I don't know if he will ever be ready for the NBA. He always will give it 110%. So that really helped the Pistons tonight. And he, in that stretch, he did play well. He was able to get to the rim a few times, and he kind of brought a spark to the lineup. So, and that's something the Pistons needed. So I was happy to see that from him. I was happy to see that he was able to provide that spark the Pistons needed. But even with that, there is some things. There's obviously a lot of things that he needs to work on if he wants to be an NBA player. Just control going to the basket, his vision, his outside shot, his form, he's athletic, but he needs to get better at his IQ around the rim. Sometimes he really should just lay the ball up. A few times tonight he tried to dunk it, and that ended up getting him blocked. You should just try to get the ball up on the glass quick if you can. Greg Kelser pointed that out a few times on the broadcast. He was absolutely correct. But yeah, Saben Lee, I overall, just within this game, he brought a spark that the team needed, and it was really nice seeing that from him. So I want to give him credit for that. And also Luka Garza, who hasn't played a lot this season, hasn't played in a while for the Pistons, but was able to draw 11 free throws in this game. He only hit 7 of those. He probably would like to see him hit probably like 9 or 10 of those. But either way, he brought some added spark. He plays really hard. You guys know you're going to get Luka playing hard every time he hits the floor. So they needed that. So that was a good change of pace for him, or a change of pace for the Pistons. He able to finish the game with 11 free throws, or 11 points. So I thought he really gave the Pistons really good minutes tonight against, a team in Portland that was just out hustling the Pistons. You're not going to out hustle Luka Garza. So I really liked what we saw from Luka Garza tonight. Happy for him that he got a chance to play, and he played well. But something I really want to talk about, and you guys know where I'm going here. Killian Hayes is going to be the death of me, guys. He's going to be the death of me. I'm not going to survive his career. In the first half, Killian was basically non-existent. He was 0 of 6 from the floor. He had missed an open corner 3. He had missed 2 runners that he would really like back, 2 floaters. And that's something we'll talk about a little bit later. Just give me a second. But he was just non-existent in the first half. And it was just like, I'm sitting at halftime like, my God, dude. It's just, being a Killian Hayes fan is just killing me, dude. It's like, if he can't play better than this, I might just have to hop off, dude. Like, this is just, it's not good. It's not good. This is bad. So he goes the first half about just being non-existent. Then the second half, he scores 12 points. I believe he was 0 of 6 at halftime, so he was, he was 4 or 5 in the second half. And he was able to draw 5 free throws in the second half alone. And it's getting to a point with Killian where I'm literally going to feel like if he takes a jumper off the dribble, if he takes a step back off the dribble, if he takes a midi off of the dribble, I'm going to want him benched. Because when he's going to the basket, it just looks so much better. He'll draw free throws. He'll draw fouls. And he looked much better in the second half because he was actually attacking the rim. In the first half, he was settling for jumpers a lot. Now, granted, a few of those were just catch-and-shoot attempts. You don't want him driving in on wide-open catch-and-shoot attempts, obviously. Take those. But he had a few middies that he took. A floater that I felt like he probably could have taken all the way to the rim. He just needs to be more aggressive going to the basket, man. He just looks so much better when he does. And he played really well in the second half. And he was part of the lineup throughout the second half that was playing really well and was helping the Pistons get back into this game. He had a few defensive highlights too in the fourth quarter that were just pretty insane. He had one at the top of the key when he a dude was going for the handoff and the center had the ball above his head. And as Killian's guy came around, Killian just literally reached over the guy, ripped the ball out from over him and just took it for a dunk. That's a pretty insane play that he made. And then there was another one where Cade Cunningham's guy was coming off the block, rotating up through a down screen, curling off for a midi. Killian Hayes was guarding the guy, passing it to him. And this is just pure instincts defensively. Cade got beat, and he was about to be open midi for the guy curling off the rebound, off the screen once he caught it. But Killian sensed it coming, moved off his guy who passed it, and rotated over and tried to get a block on it, and he did get a block on it. So he had a few defensive players late that were just it was insane plays by him. But at some point with Killian, he can't keep being this inconsistent. You can't have a first half like he did, and then the second half play well. He just needs to play like this throughout the entire game. If he just played consistently aggressive going to the rim, he'd be fine, dude. He picks his spots, and I get that he has to feel himself. Sometimes he has to feel himself out. Sometimes it takes a minute. That's fine. But 0 of 6 in the first half, you can't have that. You have to contribute somehow in the first half. You can't have a night like he did tonight where it's just like the first half he's non-existent, and then the second half he just plays really well. It's like, okay, well, why couldn't you give us that in the first half? I think that's the next step in his development. He just has to be consistent with how he plays. He can't pick and choose when he wants to be aggressive, and you can see it in his play. You can tell when all of a sudden you can see the switch, oh, he's about to be more aggressive. You can just see it happen. And then you can see in stretches in the first half when it's just yeah, he's probably not going to try to go to the rim. He's going to settle here. He's not really going to look for his own shot at the rim. It's just frustrating, dude. It's frustrating because I really believe in Killian. I really like Killian. I really think he can be a damn good NBA player. It's just it's just a toxic relationship that I got with him right now, man. It's in the first half, it's just my God, please just go to the rim, be aggressive, draw some free throws. Then the second half, he does it all, and you're where was this the first half? It's toxic, man. It's toxic. It's a toxic relationship. But it was really good to see that in the second half, though. He ended up putting together a really damn good game. So that's all I've got for you guys today, man. Thank you guys for listening to today's episode. I hope you guys were able to enjoy that game, even though they lost to a team with no NBA players. I'm not going to do a lottery tankathon sim here because every time I do it, it's just bad results. So I'm just going to assume the Pistons would fall if I did it. I'm going to take a break for a few days, and hopefully I'll come back with some better luck, and then we'll roll it for the podcast. But thank you guys for listening today. Thank you for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free and available on our podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to our Locked On Pistons YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button. I'd really appreciate it. Best way to support the podcast. Make sure you are making Locked On NBA your second listen of every single day. Locked On NBA hosts, 30 minutes or less, Monday through Friday, discussing all things basketball. Again, Monday through Friday. They're free and available on all your podcast platforms. Make sure you guys are making that your second listen of every single day. And until the next podcast, I'll see you guys later. Stay safe, everybody. Go Pistons. Appreciate you guys. Again, stay safe, everybody.